Imagine a prison with no bars, no walls, just invisible chains. For many individuals, this is the reality of coercive control. Through the eyes of Jessica and Mia, mother and daughter, trapped by their abuser and the justice system, we uncover how the very laws meant to protect them can sometimes cause harm.
This court is convened today. The case before us involves allegations of coercive control and domestic abuse within the marriage of the defendant and the victim. Coercive control, though it often operates in silence, is a deeply invasive and insidious form of abuse. It dismantles autonomy, erodes dignity, and imprisons its victims in an invisible cage. This court takes these accusations with the utmost sincerity.
Your Honour, the evidence will show that the defendant was subjected to years of calculated manipulation, isolating her from friends and family, controlling her finances, and wielding threats to dominate every aspect of her life. This wasn't just emotional abuse, it was a systematic campaign to strip her of her independence and safety. You'll hear testimonies today about how coercive tactics escalated, culminating in instances of physical violence. You'll hear about a mother trapped not only for her own sake, but for the safety of her child.
Through flashbacks, the weapons of coercive control can be seen through the eyes of Mia, Jessica's daughter.
How's your dinner, Mia?
Who's Greg?
Oh, it's a guy from work.
A guy from work. It's 9 o'clock in the evening.
Yeah, well, we've got a really important meeting in the morning.
Yeah, I don't care. I don't have girls texting me, so why are you texting guys?
Well, I'm sorry, what do you want me to do then?
You know what? I don't need this. What sort of an example is this for our daughter?
It's not like that.
The power and control wheel illustrates the various tactics abusers use to dominate victims, highlighting that abuse is about ongoing control. In 2015, the UK addressed this by criminalising coercive control under Section 76 of the Serious Crime Act. This law recognises the patterns of behaviour that cause fear or distress, shifting focus beyond physical violence.
You okay, Mia?
The place is a mess. What have you done? Clean it up!
Using intersectionality as an analytical tool, we can recognise that perpetrators of coercive control often exploit discrimination as a calculated strategy of power and dominance. By targeting a victim's marginalised identities, whether related to race, gender identity, or socioeconomic status, they weaponise societal biases to further isolate and destabilise.
Got your favourites? Where's my dinner?
Oh, sorry, I thought we could
I've had a
maybe
really long
bit
day,
later.
I just want to eat.
Oh, sorry, I just...
What are you doing? Go on, make something.
What would you like?
I don't care. Jesus.
Post-abuse, mothers face PTSD, financial ruin, and emotional scars. Children tend to suffer from developmental delays and deep-seated anxiety.
Hi.
Where's you been?
I've just been to the shops just to pick up a few
The
bits.
shops. Really?
Okay, I went to the pub to see Sally just for a quick drink.
Yeah, I know. Because you put it all over your story, making me look like some sort of weak mum looking after our daughter. Seriously, I've done her homework. I've brushed her hair. We nearly did bath time. Where were you?
Sorry, she was having a rough time.
I don't care. This is your job. You're meant to be her mum, not me.
I'm sorry, Mia. I hope you don't mind this. I'm just seeing Mummy and Daddy.
Yeah, and next time, try and wear some proper clothes instead of looking like such a cheap tart.
I thought this was alright.
For mothers like Jessica, legal entrapment within the courtroom allows abusers to manipulate the legal system using tactics of parental alienation to maintain control. Courts often miss the nuances of coercive control, unintentionally siding with the perpetrator.
I believe the court would see what I've seen, know what I've lived, but as I stood there, I realized the system isn't built to understand our stories. It's built on presumptions that say a child's welfare is best served by involvement from both parents. Presumptions that to them seem fair, but fairness isn't always just. They say involvement is a right, a principle enshrined in Section 11 of the Children and Families Act. I've presented evidence, excessive cooling, stalking reports, desperate testimonies and confidence. I've explained the nights my child woke up screaming, yet they look at me and see an obstacle, someone who might be alienating. They don't see the danger. Law tells them that the contact is only denied in exceptional circumstances. Exceptional? How exceptional must it be? Must we wait until the worst happens? Until we become another name in the Home Affairs report? Another statistic about women and children lost to court-mandated contact? You talk about welfare, but whose welfare is it? It's not my child's. Not when involvement means fear and harm. The presumption is so tangled, so contradictory. No one agrees on what's best, but they've decided to presume. And in that presumption lies power. The power he wields over me. And my children. A weapon. This isn't protection, it's a trap. A cycle we can't escape because the court sees a parent's rights, not a child's reality. I'm not asking for revenge, I'm begging for safety. For a chance for my child to grow up without fear, without the damage the system itself allows.
For children, this dynamic is equally destructive. Their experiences of coercive control are compounded by factors like race and class, yet their voices are often dismissed or misunderstood. The legal system's failure to address intersectional realities means that justice remains inaccessible to those who need it most.
I used to think it was normal, the shouting, the way Dad talked to Mum, like she was nothing. He'd say things about her right in front of me, call her names, say she was crazy, and when she'd cry, he'd look at me and laugh, like it was some kind of joke that we were both in on. I still remember the courtroom, the way it smelled, like old wood and paperwork. I didn't understand most of what was happening. I just knew that everything felt wrong. And the things they said about each other, I wasn't supposed to hear, but I did. Mum was unstable. Dad was manipulative. They weren't just tearing each other apart, they were tearing me. But she wasn't a bad person. She was just tired of him, tired of trying. And now when I think about it, I don't feel angry at him. I feel angry at myself for believing in him, for letting him make me part of it. I knew what he was doing to her. Even as a kid, I could see it. The way he made her feel worthless, the way he turned everything into her fault. But I didn't stand up for her once. I didn't tell them the truth. I was scared. Scared of him. Scared of the questions. Scared of what would happen if I said the wrong thing. So I stayed quiet. And they believed him. They gave him the power to keep hurting her. I'm still trying to figure out how to forgive myself.
Reunification camps intended to heal often re-traumatize. By forcing children back into toxic environments, interventions like these can cause more harm than good. Experts agree that our current legal system must evolve. It must recognize coercive control as more than just emotional abuse. It must listen to survivors, prioritize children's voices, and address systemic power imbalances. Coercive control isn't just a personal problem. It's a public crisis. We need to stop asking survivors, "Why didn't you leave?" and start asking, "Why didn't we protect you?" The legal system, however, lacks the necessary frameworks to understand these complex dynamics. Its traditional, one-dimensional approach to domestic abuse fails to account for the overlapping forms of oppression survivors face. Instead of seeing how intersectionality amplifies vulnerability, courts often reinforce harmful stereotypes. True reform requires more than surface-level changes. It demands an intersectional approach that acknowledges and dismantles the layers of discrimination embedded within both personal abuse and institutional responses. Without this, the law continues to be a tool of entrapment rather than empowerment, perpetuating the cycle of harm it claims to prevent.